Hi, today I'm going to do a Valentine's evening look. I'm going to try and make it a little bit French. By that I mean, let me think how to describe it. The sort of makeup that I imagine Vanessa Paradis would do on a Valentine's date with Johnny Depp. So quite chic and quite French really. So I've started already, I've done my base. I used Bourjois Healthy Mix and it's number 52. I've also used concealer. I used Inglot concealer pen and this is number 44. And I used some powder. I used Gemma Kid and this is just their translucent powder, Gemma Kid Makeup School. Okay, so onto the eyes. I'm going to do a little eyeliner. Now, I think I'm going to use navy for a change. You could use brown. This is a nice brown. I was almost going to use this, but I think that's better for blue eyes. I'm not going to use black, the sort of traditional eyeliner colour. I'm going to use a slightly bit of a twist on that. But so I'm going to use navy for my brown eyes. I am going to use this one. This is the wrong packaging, by the way. It's the number 7 Spring Collection one. This was just a rough one they sent me when we were doing the colours. And for green eyes or blue eyes, you could use more of a plummy black colour. So they're all quite dark, but just a little bit lighter, a little bit softer than full-on black. Right, I am going to just start with the navy. I'm just going to push it into the lashes. I'm going to do quite a thickish line. The outer corner, just going to map out a bit of a wing. A flick rather. If your eyes are hooded, you can still do this, but you have to do the whole thing with your eye open. You have to sort of map out how you're going to have it look with the eyes completely open the whole time. Now, all I did beforehand was I put a little bit of loose powder on my lids. Because these gel liners tend to be waterproof, they don't really move. And I didn't really want to put any colour on my lids. I'm just keeping it as simple as possible. So that's the navy blue liner, and I really love navy liner on brown eyes, and I think you still get the impact that you have with black, obviously, but it's just a little bit softer. Okay, so next I'm going to curl my eyelashes. Now before I put my mascara on, I'm just going to do a tiny bit of shading. I only want the eyes to be about the liner. I don't want any other makeup to really interfere with it, but I'm just going to do a little bit of shading. So I'm going to use this matte shadow by Inglot, which is 348. It's quite dark, but I'm going to put a little bit onto a MAC 217 and then just take just about all of it off the brush. So what's left is just a tiny bit that I can use to shade with. I'm just going to use that into my socket line. And it really is just to get a little bit of definition, but not to look like makeup really. The eyes is definitely all about the liner. And the same underneath with a little smudgy brush. Smoky liner brush. This one's discontinued, it's a Chanel one, but you can, lots of brands have them. I'm just going to push that into the roots of the lashes, but I don't want it to in any way look like it's kind of makeup. It's just to frame the lashes. And also I want to put a lot more mascara on the top than on the bottom. So again, it's more about the upper lid and the liner. Right, onto mascara. Use Masterpiece in black. So I put a lot more on the top lashes, especially on the outer corners. And then just a tiny bit on the bottom lashes. You could put a couple of individuals as well on the outer corner if you wanted, but I just want to keep this quite simple. Okay, so now that I've done that, I can add a tiny bit more shadow. Okay, now I'm going to do brows. I'm going to make them a little bit greyer, so I'm going to stick with the same Inglot shade I've just been using. Again, take most of it off before I apply, and then just highlight the high point of the arc. Onto blush, I'm going to use YSL Touch Blush, which is their loose powder blush. This is number 1, it's a really fresh pink. Now it comes with this spongy applicator thing, which I don't really like because I don't feel like you get enough out, and also I want to direct where it's going. So I'm just going to remove that and take the loose powder from inside the package with a brush. What I want to do with this colour is just to create a sort of pinkish glow. So I'm going to put a little bit around my temples and then come around the side in a sort of C shape. So I get a kind of, rather than a definite blush, I just have a sort of freshness. This shade, by the way, number 1, is quite pale, so it goes on a lot lighter than it looks. Not good for dark skins, but they do lots of different shades, and you can use any blush anyway, whatever suits you, your skin tone. And just if you put too much obviously on the temple, just smooth it off a little bit. You don't want to overdo it. Right, before I do my finishing touches, I'm going to go on to lips, and I thought, because I'm doing what I consider to be quite a classically French look, I know I'm a bit of a Francophile. Anyone who reads my blog knows that I do write about lots of things to do with France and Paris and the whole thing, but I do like that simple French kind of classic style. So I'm going to do a red lip. I want to make it really effortless though, and quite throwaway. I'm going to use this pencil by Inglot, which is just one of their lip crayons, just because it's quite a matte look, and also I want it to be really easy, kind of a casual red lip. So I'm going to just start by sort of rubbing it in, and then just what's left on my finger from rubbing it in, I'll use that to create the shape at the top, and then just build up a bit. The beauty of using something like this is that it's not going to need that much touching up, because it hasn't got any shine to it, and also you're rubbing it so much into the lips that it is a real definite stain. Plus it's going to be so easy to touch up. So if you're going out for dinner, this is a really nice red lip that you can have a meal and you can eat and you can drink, and it's not going to end up all over a glass and going to end up coming off. And then you can also use it, because it is a pencil, just to give any shape and definition. Now the more you build it up, the redder it gets. So if you really quite like the idea of red lips but you find them a bit shocking, if you just put a small amount on, you can start off with just a kind of subtle red stain, and then as you get braver you can add a little bit more each time. And don't worry about getting like a perfect edge. I think the whole point of this is that it is a bit sort of pressed in, and it is a bit sort of natural looking. You know, it's not a kind of spray on or paint on lip. Once your lip's on, you can then, if you do need to put a bit of extra blusher, you can, but you'll probably be fine, and you can do a last minute powder. Now you can just leave it there, or as a final touch, I'm just going to add a little bit of highlighter. This is L'Oreal's Infallible, which is a loose powder eyeshadow. This is number 1 white, and it's very sort of finely ground, so it's quite undetectable. I'm going to just use a little tiny bit just underneath the brow bone there, just above the shading that I did earlier on. But I don't want it to sort of register too much as white. It really is just to give a highlight very subtly. So that's the finished look. It is very simple and quick and not too complicated. I think my motto for this makeup, as it is for a lot of the looks I do, is probably KISS. K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid. I just think that most people look better with simple makeup looks. You know, the more complicated it gets, the more products, the more kind of extravagant it gets. Sometimes you can just lose the sort of beauty. So that's definitely, personally, the look I prefer. And it is a little bit French inspired. I think my years of living in Paris have definitely rubbed off on me, and I love that kind of eyeliner and a red lip. I just think it's really sexy, and it's sort of a fun and quite flirty look to do. So whatever you're doing, I hope you have a great time, and I'll see you soon.